Welcome with a new ClipSat video. Welcome again. Before we start, I need you to like the video and share it. Share is very important. And subscribe if you didn't do that yet. And comment if you have any questions in this video. I think you will have a lot of comments about some problems. Turn on notification, this little bell below the video. That will help us to reach you on more frequent pace and reach others. Today with ST2 Math Level 2. It's May 2021. I think that one will be the only explanation on the YouTube about this test. I don't know why everyone refused to review that test. So let's start with the first question. In the figure above, a flag is formed by 4 rectangles with the same width. Each rectangle is divided into equal parts, where some of them are gray, as you see. That what fraction is shaded? What fraction is the gray part? Okay, here I see the first layer up there is 6 squares, below 3 rectangles, 2 and 6. So I will think in a number that is divisible by 1 and 2 and 3 and 6, and obviously it's a 6. So I will assume that each of these has an area of 6. Each layer has an area of 6. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here. I have here 3 because it's a layer. The layer is 6. That layer also is the 6, so it will be divided into 2, 2, 2, 2. Here 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay. So the total area is 6 times 4, which is 24. 4 layers with the area 6 each, and the shaded part is 5 here and 3. That's 8. 8 and another 5 is 13. So it should be 13 over 24. That is easy one to start with. Okay. Second one, here we have a table. Number of chords, example for the number of chords if you have 2 chords, okay, and the number of regions that are divided into. It's 2 for 1 chord and like 7 for 3 chords. He is asking for a recursive function. Recursive function always consists of 2 parts, an initial value. So the first term here, 1 is 2. So we can eliminate the last choice here, because I need 1 to yield 2, so U1 is 2. If you notice, if you add 2 plus 2, you will get 4. If you add 3 plus 4, you will get 7. So in U4, for example, you add n to the previous term, UN minus 1, to the previous term n, okay? That will be UN in general. So I will go with B. So of course, if you go 5 chords, you can get 16 region. If you have 6 chords, it will be 16 plus 6, which is 22 regions. You can try that, but not in the test, of course. I have a sequence here, 4, 8, 12, 16. It's added 4 each term, so it's an arithmetic. I need the sum. I am not sure what is that order of the last term. I know the rule of the sum. Here is the rule. If you forget the rule, it's pretty important. 2n here, 2a1, sorry, and then plus 1 minus 1d. Okay, you should remember this one, of course. And we have everything. I have a1, I have d, but I don't have n. So first, you need to determine which value of n here. So this is an, which is supposed to be 4 plus n minus 1d. D is also 4 here. So I have 2 4s, and that should equal 20. If you add that, you can realize that it's only 4n, because this 4 will cancel with the negative. So for n equal 20, that means only n is 505. So we have 505 terms. So the sum of these 505 terms, just substitute 505 here. And inside the bracket, you can do 4 plus 20. Sorry. that will be 2024, and use the calculator to find out how much is that. I will divide by 2 here to 1012 and then multiply. So a calculator. It's 505 multiplied by 1012. Okay. 60, so it's the first one. I use another form of the rule if you don't see that before. Sn is n over 2 times a1 plus an directly, because I know an in this one, so I use this other form. Of course, both forms are nice, but sometimes you don't know an, so I use the second one. Okay, with this one, for v equals 0, not equals 0, sorry. What is the equivalent form of that? 60v over w. So I can make a reciprocal for this. It will be 3v over uw. I think that is the same, but it will be 1 over -3. To make it 6, I will multiply by 2 in both sides. And I think that's it. It will be -2 over 3. Sorry for that. It's already after midnight here. So -2 over 3 is C. Nice. Okay. In the complex plane, I equal that. What is the simplification of this? You can do that on a calculator, but it's pretty nice to do by hand as well. You know, I squared is -1, so it will be -a. I cubed is -I, so it will be -ib. And the only one, I power 4 is only 1, so it's simply a. And I power 5 is the same as I power 1. You can remove 4 from the power and it stays the same. So I power 5 equivalent to just I b. And finally, with I power 6, which is equivalent to I squared, which is -1, so it will be -a. By adding these a's will be cancelled, so I will have only -a and the -2b I, and that's easy one. It's number E. Consider as easy according to level 2 mathematics. Okay. Which of the given statement would be true in the parallelogram ABCD? In the parallelogram, I have each two opposite sides are parallel and equal in length. If you consider vector, you consider how to name these vertices. So I will name that A, then B, then C, then D in a cyclic order. To answer this type of questions, AD and DC equal, yes, because are parallel and the same side and same direction. AD and BC, so this is incorrect. It has different or opposite direction here. AC and BD, of course, not parallel at all. They are intersected. AB plus BC equal AC, yes, that's without looking. AB and the BC, you know the tip to tail base. AB from here to there, BC there. So start from the very first point to the very last point, give you the sum of these two vectors. That's a bit straightforward. So this is okay. So I have 1 and 4. Okay. So the answer is C. Next one. 3 boys and 2 girls want to sit on a bench in such a way that the girls are not separated. In how many ways can this be done? So for the boys to sit, it's 3 factorial. For the girls to sit, it's 2 factorial. Okay. That will be multiplied by the number of spots that are available for the 2 girls. If you have 7 spots on the bench, these 2 girls can stay in these 2 spots. This is a position, or these 2, or these 2, or these 2. So you have 4 positions for the girls to be sitting beside each other. In each position, they can sit by 2 methods, and the other boys can sit by 60 meters in the other 3 chairs. So it will be 6 times 2 times 4. 6 times 2 times 4. Okay. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 times 4 is 48. So number 7 is E. In number 11, in number, sorry, 8, the graph above, in the graph above, what is that about? Nothing, you just draw a graph, which is based on data from the US Department of Energy, shows approximate average gasoline prices, go down, up, okay, and cents per gallon between 1985 and 1996. That's 11 years, so each year here represents 11, where X equal 1 corresponds to 1985. So what about 1990? That's a 5 year after that. So 1990 should be corresponding to number 5 here, okay? It's 85, 86, and so on till 90 at 5. Estimate the average gasoline price. It will be that number, which is pretty close to which value. Let's try to guess what should be written here. It's a little less than 122, so I will go with 18, sorry. On the same drawing, there is another question. Say, what was the approximate percentage increase in the average price from 87 to 81 to 91? Again, 87 is here, 2 years after 85, and 91 is 5 years before 11, so it will be at 6, I think. Okay. So it increased from this value to this value. What approximate increase here? So consider that is about 95, for example, and it is about 125. And they put 100 here, and they guess what is the increase. I think it will be something about 25 to 29. No, I'm not sure. Let's calculate that. So it will be 100 times 125 divided by 95. So that is 131. So it's very close to 29 or 31% increase. So I will choose 29. Okay, I might like overestimate this reading if that is close to like 23 or something. Okay, because 25 is supposed to be at the middle of the square, it's below the middle by much. So if that is 23, that will be very close to 29 indeed. You need to try that. It's here again, 100 times 123 divided by 95. Yeah, that's much better approximation. Next one. Which of the tables below can not be a table of values of a function? The function has that only one rule. No 2 inputs, or sorry, no input have 2 outputs. Okay. So I have different inputs in all the functions. Yes, yes. 3, -4, 0, 0, 0, 3, 3. No, this one is not. I have 3 and 3 here. Can you see that? So I'm not sure what is f of 3 is. So this one is not a function. This one is not a function. Okay, because 3 has 2 outputs. That violates the definition of the function. So it is not. Each input must have exactly 1 output. Okay. What is the Y-intercept? Y-intercept means you need to substitute x equal to 0. At x equal to 0, we obtain the equation like this: 0 minus -1/3 plus quarter. I need to divide everything here by 3. So it will be 1/9 plus 1/12. If you add that, you will get like, I think 36 is a nice common denominator here. And here it will be 4 plus 3, which is 7. So the answer is E. You can do that with a calculator, of course. Nice. For what value of K will the graph here and that perpendicular lines. So try to get the slope. The slope is negative coefficient of x over coefficient of y. So it will be here 1/2. And the slope for the other one, you can also obtain the slope by isolating y. Okay. So the slope from this case, it will be negative k/4. To make them perpendicular, so the perpendicular for this one here should be -2, negative reciprocal. That should be equal that one. This can be found a. So sorry, k should equal 8 in this case. Just to cross multiply that, -8 equal -k, and the k equal 8. So number 12 is a. Okay. If the average life expectancy increase linearly, so this increase happen every year from 75.4 for person born in 1990 to 82.9 for persons born in 2020. What will be the average life expectancy of a person born in 2021? So you need to find the slope. Like you have, if you're born in 1990, the average is 82.9. No, the average is 75.4. And if you're born in 2020, your average will be 82.9. So for people who born in 2021, the average go to what? That's a slope-based equation. So find the slope from the first 2 points. The difference here, I think it will be 7.5 over 20 minus, or 120 minus that is 30. So it's almost 1/4. So it will be increased by 1/4 a year from this year to this year. Or you can find the slope again. And they say that C minus whatever, 82.9 over 21 minus 20, which is 1. Both give the same answer. So adding a quarter year to 82.9, it will be 83.15. So it's a C. Suppose that A and B are two fixed numbers. With that, what is the solution of X if that happen? For this type of inequalities, absolute was smaller than, I rewrite that as this form. The contents of the absolute should be between B minus A over 3 and A minus B over 3. Okay, that's a negative value for this. So that cannot be written unless this part is positive. And he said also that A is smaller than B. That means B minus A is positive. So A minus B sure will be negative. To get rid of 3 first, I will multiply by 3 in all the sides. So I will have 3x here and the minus A plus B here. It's minus B now. Don't drop in that. And the B minus A. I need to get rid of negative A and negative B. So I will add 1A and add 1B for all sides. Adding A and the B to this part, it will be 2A. To the other side, adding A and adding B, it will be only 2B. So I will divide at the very last step by 3 to get 2/3 of A here and the 2/3 would be there. So nice question here. It's number B. Here, if the vertex of the function f has the x coordinate 5, what is the value of b? Okay, to have an x coordinate, I know this function, if a is positive or negative, doesn't matter. But the x coordinate will lie, the vertex x coordinate will lie between the x-intercept, exactly at the midpoint of x-intercept. One x-intercept is at 2, the other is at negative b, and the 5 is the midpoint. So since 5 is the midpoint, you can write that as the sum of 2 and the negative b over 2. The average should be 5. So this sum equal 10. So b equal -8. Okay. B equal -8. That means negative b is +8. Okay. So number 15 is D. Nice up till now. If f of x equals that and g of x equals this, then what is f of g of -1? F of g of -1, okay. I will need to find g of -1 first. I know that this is the same as f of g of -1. So g of -1 obtained from this rule, it will be 2 plus 1 over -1 or only 1. So now this become f of 1. How to find f of 1? I will use the first rule. So it will be 3 minus 1. What is 3 minus 1? Obviously, this one is a. Well, in this graph, from the over -5 to 5, it is not. It's part of an odd function. Okay, odd function. Odd function must be symmetric about the origin. Odd function must be symmetric about the origin. Okay, like it looks like this if the origin is here, for example. Okay, so everything drawn here will be reflected through the origin through this. So this is passing through 1 and 2, this vertex. So the other should be -1 and -2. And I have here 2 and -1. So here -2 and +1. So each point x and y will be reflected to -x and -y, both in opposite sign. Here 4 and 2. So it will be -4 and -2. +1, 5 and 1. So 5 and -1. So I think it should go this way. This is the solution. Can you see that here among the choices? Yes, I think that is B. So I reflect each point from x and y to -x and -y. That's the definition for the odd function. F of -x is -f of x. So both x and y changes signs. Okay. Number 18. If an increasing function over R, what is the alternative below? Is or R always true? F is positive, that's not always true, because most of the increasing function like this, part of the function is already negative here. If f of x1 greater than f of x2, that means x1 greater than x2, this is okay. Because for increasing function, if x1 smaller than x2 here, obviously x1, the function is much smaller than the function of x2. That's correct. And the other one is the opposite. This is incorrect. This is the decreasing definition. This is the increasing. This one is the decreasing. So I believe only number 2. Okay. I have a linear equation and something, a kind of exponential, but you need to simplify that. So I will need to rewrite whatever inside the bracket here with a base that is a prime base. So 9 here need to be rewritten as 3 to the power 3. This is 3 to the power 2. This 2 multiplied by 2y give you 4y. This is 9 power 2y. I'm not doing anything down here. But now, since I have 2 same base here, you can subtract powers and write 4y minus 3x. Okay, you know something interesting about this quantity from the given. It's a 0 because if 3x minus 4y equals 0, so for sure 4y minus 3x will be also a 0. So it will be 2 multiplied by 3 to the 0, which is 1. So that makes a equal only 2. Nice. Number 20. If you invest 4,000 in stock that is increasing in value at a rate of that much per year, then the stock will give you the function already solved, what it's asking for, where x is measured in years. Then when your investment worth that much. So you only solve this equation even with shift to solve if you can. I prefer to use some log before doing shift solve. That will make the equation much easier. So if you divide here, you get 4.5 equal 1.11 to the x. So you can just calculate x by finding the log for both sides, the log for 4.5 to the base 1.11. You can do that, or you can, much better to do a len for both sides, to say len 4.5 equal x len 1.11. That's much easier for you. So len 4.5 or over len 1.11. The much easier is just use shift solve for this one. Okay, so let's find that. It will be the logarithm of 4.5. Again, if you need any help with logarithm or any other lesson, mention that in the description, in the comments, and I will give you a full tutorial about the lesson, hopefully, inshallah. Okay, we have 20 questions. Nice. Which of the given alternative is a cubic function? F of x means the third degree. So definitely it is not this one. It's like no, only x squared here. And f of 10 equal 100, and it has 3 zeros at 0 and 5 and 8. So I have 3 zeros, 0, 5, 8 here, 0, 5, 8 here, 0, 5, 8 here, not here. This is also quadratic. So one of these is the correct 0, 5, 8. No, it cannot be this one, it's -8. So that's narrow the choices to only 2. It's either A or C. I substitute by 10 to find out which one gave you the 100. Not the first one, definitely. 10 times 10 is already 100. Times 10 minus 5 become 500. Times 10 minus 2, it's too much. So I believe it should be C. If you substitute 10 here, it will be 10 times 5 times 2, which is 100 exactly. So it's this one. Which of the given alternative is true about the graph? Okay, I have a graph of fractional function. We can simplify that only if we cancel x minus 1. Okay, this factor here cannot be canceled with anybody. This is not factorizable here. But x squared minus 1 can be factored to x minus 1 and x plus 1. That makes x minus 1 cancel. Okay. So obviously it has a hole at x equal 1, because when you cancel the factor, it will create a hole. If it didn't cancel like x plus 1 here, it will create asymptote at x minus 1. This is asymptote. And here is a hole, okay? So I believe the answer is E, but D is the answer in the answer key. And it's also correct. If you try that in Desmos, I just did that before the session. Give me this graph. So I screenshot that. It's at 1, it's not defined. Before -3, it was positive. It's not clear in this, but it is correct that it's positive if x is smaller than -3. We can find that algebraically also, but it is not defined at 1, so it has a hole at 1. Okay. Here, why D might be also correct, because if you imagine any value that's smaller than -3 here, like -4 or something, substitute, you will get -4 minus 1. It's negative, multiplied by negative, because negative times negative is positive if x is smaller than -3, and I have here positive value and the positive value. So that makes the product in whole had 2 negatives only, so that will be positive. Positive means it's above x-axis, and that is correct. Okay, even if you simplify that and you try to substitute -3, you have negative up and negative down, so it will be positive as well. The other are not true. The graph touches the x-axis. This type of graph they never touch, not a polynomial. The graphs of has 2 vertical asymptote? No, because one is cancelled. and the graph has no horizontal. No, it has a horizontal asymptote, because if you find the limit at infinity or negative infinity here in both directions, it will be 0 as x go to infinity. So it has an horizontal asymptote with y equals 0. Okay, but I agree with these two choices. It's a kind of mistake in the question, but at the end of the day, math is math. Nobody can say that E is wrong. Okay. Here, knowing that x equal 1 and x equal -5 are zeros of the parabola, if that concaves downwards, the identity y f of x is smaller than 0 is verified in where. So imagine the graph, it will be downwards, intersect at -5 and 1, so it will be less than 0 for any x value that is less than -5 or more than 1. Okay. Do you have any value here that is that less than -5? No. More than 1? Yes, I have only D. So for sure, f of 2 will be negative. So f of 2 less than 0. It's a tangent function. Definitely, it is not -tan. It might be tan. It is not shifted anyway, because if it is shifted by over 2, it will be clear that it will pass through negative pi over 2 and 0. The pi over 2 is about 1 point something, so it doesn't pass there or here. So it is not this one also. So I believe this one is incorrect. It's not shifted up. This one is incorrect. So it's either tan x or 3 tan x. To make sure of that, we will substitute by 1 and see this point. Is it tan 1 or 3 tan 1? Let's apply a calculator. What is tan 1? Make sure you calculate a set to radian here, very important. What is tan of 1? Tan of 1 is 1.55, but 3 tan of 1 is 4.67. So this one, I believe, is 4.67. So it is a tan stretched by factor 3. So it's D. You need to try a point in this type. 25. Which is the following statement is true? The amplitude of 3 sine 2 theta is 2. No, it is 3. So this number should be the amplitude. So this one is wrong. The period of cosine is 2 pi over 2. Remember that, 2 pi over 2, which 2? The 2 here is the 2 here. So 2 pi over 2 is pi, not 4 pi. So this one is also not correct. The period here is pi over 2. In the case of period of tan, it's just pi. By tan 2t, it will be pi over 2. That is correct. Okay. So for sine and cosine, sec and cosec, the original period is 2 pi. And you divide that 2 pi by the factor of x if the factor of the angle exists. Okay, or other than 1. But in case of tan and the cotan only, the period is pi, and you divide that by 2 here, or the factor of t, whatever. So it's pi over 2. The amplitude of tan, no amplitude for tan. The period for this is again the same answer again. It should be 2 pi over 2. Okay, 2 pi over 2, not 2 pi. So C is the only correct answer. I go with C. Sorry for that. 26. What is the simplification of A equal that, blah, blah, blah? Okay. You can express that in a single log by doing this. Logarithm to the base 2 of 3x multiplied by, this is x to the power 4, divided by, because I have negative, 3xy. Okay. To convert from multi-log form to a single log form. So what is that expression in here? I can simply factor out this 3x to 3x. So I will be left with x to the 4 over y. So it will be C. Oh my God. What is the solution to this equation? If you saw some videos on trigonometry on the channel, you will know what is this expression means. It's the cotangent of the function. but here I don't need that name. I need only to solve it. You might use a shift to solve here, but I prefer to multiply by e power negative x first, up and down by e power x first, get rid of negative x. Multiply both top and bottom of the fraction by e power x. It will be e to the 2x plus 1 and e to x minus 1 here. Now cross multiply everything. So e power 2x plus 1 is 2e power 2x minus 2. Try to isolate that. It will be 3 equal e power 2x. And finally, you can rewrite that by taking the logarithm for both sides. So len 3 is the same as 2x, and 2x then equal, and x then equal len 3 divided by 2. Len 3 over 2 definitely is B. ماشي يا شباب. Next. The limit here at x approaches infinity. For the first part, definitely it's infinity. For the second part, definitely is 0. Okay, so the infinity minus 0. Infinity, just direct substitution, I didn't do anything. E power x is infinity. Infinity under radical is infinity. And the 2 over infinity is 0. So infinity minus 0 is infinity. So the answer is 28. You can substitute that value of x by 100 or so. The calculator will give you an enormously big value. So it will be A. Easy limit. Next one. The velocity of a rocket has a function of time. T might be decreasing by the piecewise function, blah, blah, blah. So this piecewise function take some forms as you go up in time, like from 0 to 10. It's form, from 10 to 30 is another form. He didn't mention is that time measured in seconds or minute. I think seconds. Anyway, what is the approximate maximum velocity that can be reached by this rocket? Okay, maximum velocity reached. First of all, it will start decreasing. I have this one decreasing, this function decreasing. So it will reach maximum velocity at the beginning of the interval, not at the end, because the slope here is negative, so it's decreasing. This one also is decreasing because the value of E has a power of negative. So that means a reciprocal for that value. The reciprocal for E is decreasing because it's a fraction. When any exponential function is a fractional base, it decreases. So it might reach the maximum in this one. To know what is the maximum in this interval, try to sketch it or try to find the value at 0 and at 10 and at the vertex, because that one is a quadratic. Okay, so let's discuss the first one first. The first one at t equals 0, v of t is equal what? Make that like a table. At 0, it's a 0. At 10, substitute by 10, it will be 1100 minus 50, so 1150. Okay, and at the vertex, you need to sketch or find out the vertex. What the vertex says here. The vertex is at negative b over 2a. Negative b over 2a means 5 over 22. That's a value, very little value, but it's at least before 10. So I can reuse this value, negative b over 2a, and find out what is the value reached here. I think it will be minimum, not maximum, because this graph is concave up. So looking upward, it has a minimum value as the vertex. Anyway, I will try this. 11 times 5 over 22. That's all squared. Minus 5 times that is 25 over 22. So it's a negative value. So definitely it is not this one. And there's no need to continue finding that at 10 and 30 and that stuff, because I'm pretty sure it will go lowered and lowered as you go through this function, because all the other functions are decreasing. So I will go with C. I reach this maximum value and the negative value here, and that will be much less than this because both other functions are decreasing. Okay. Number 3, I have a function here. Oh, very big question. I thought that 2 questions as the best. So, okay. The graph here for a cubic, the math teacher asked her student Maya to draw the curve of one of the function below. Maya drew this drawing. Which graph did you think she drew? This figure, everything on up happens when you draw the absolute value of the function. So absolute value will turn that up and turn this part also up. So the graph will go this way with absolute value. But it's not that only, it's also shifted up 2 units exactly. So I will go with the absolute value shifted 2 units up, which is this one, which is I here. Okay, the first one is also only shifting. Second one is absolute after shifting. Third one is absolute after shifting here, shifting after absolute, which I need exactly. Okay, and yes, okay. What we have here, 31 saying in the figure above, S and D are 2 concentric circles of center A. What is the area of the shaded region? So the area of this shaded region of the ring here will be obtained by the area of larger circle minus the area of smaller circle. You only need to determine the radius of each. So from here to here, the radius is 4, and the radius here is only 2. So easy, pi times 4 squared, the area of the bigger circle, and the minus pi of 2 squared, smaller circle. That's 16 pi minus 4 pi, or simply 12 pi. Nice one. Some questions pretty nice, some questions pretty ugly. Some questions are not questions at all. Anyway, 32, line L in the XY plane passes through the point here and there, which is the following is the Y-intercept of the line. Again, Y-intercept of the line means that X equal to 0. So 0 and what? I need to find this what? C. Again, the only trick I will use is finding the slope twice. I use that a lot. So 3b minus 3a over b squared minus a squared. This is the slope, which we can actually simplify if you got b minus a and you simplify down to b minus a and b plus a. Pretty easy factorization, so that you can reduce the slope down to that value. Reducing that definitely useful. Now find the slope again, using which point? Any point. Any point of your choice is nice and it will give you the same value. So let's just choose A. So I will write C minus BA over 0 minus A squared. Cross multiply that. I need to isolate C. So it will be negative 3A squared equal BC minus 3AB plus AC minus 3A squared. So this 3A squared is cancelled. To isolate C, I will like turn this 3AB to the other side. I have here BC and the AC now. C is a common. So you have B plus A. Obviously now to isolate C, you will have 3AB over B plus A. Nice question. Pretty nice one. So 3AB over the sum, it's A. Nice one. Okay. With this ugly one. Why this ugly? It just took me like a day to think of. It's either written incorrectly or it's stated improperly. Something wrong about this one. It has said 5 identical squares shaped L, and Wali decided to add other 2 squares that are identical to the 5 squares. So the obtained figure has an axis of symmetry, not an axis or point of symmetry, no, just axis of symmetry. In how many ways can this be done? So I need to add 2 extra squares and find how many shape with an axis of symmetry. Pretty clear stating, but the answer is not in the choices. This is a problem. Let's try that together. I tried that before and I got this shape. This shape, I add these 2 to the L shape. This is the original shape. I will not count that. This one here, 1 and 2. So this curve is okay, number 1. This one is also okay. I added 1, 2 up here. So I have a line of symmetry, horizontal line. If you add 1 here and 1 down, you have also a horizontal line. This shape number 2. This is shape number 3. This is shape number 4. Okay. I have exactly 4 shapes that I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shapes. 5 shapes, and the answer I choose B. But some students imagine that we can put that without having the vertices identically at the same point. So it might be this one or this one, and you can add 2 to this result to reach 7. Okay. The other solutions I thought of just yield a shape with point of symmetry, like this one here. If you move this square here and this one here, it will have a point of symmetry, or this one will have a point of symmetry. That's 2 more shapes to reach even 9 with symmetrical shape without like adding any extra squares and without saying it's symmetrically about line or point. So my beliefs, it's only the blue shapes here. This one, the 5 that I said, and the answer B. And he might mistakenly answer that E in the choices. I cannot find that 10. If you can find 10 with line of symmetry, with more than respect, just share the solution. But I tried hard with this one, and I only got these 4 shapes and 2 extra from the students. And this is the only that I could thought of. So I believe the question has something incorrect. And I believe that most who are seeing this part are teachers, and they might have hard time solving that too. If anybody has 1 more shape even, can share that with us, that will be great. If not, so I believe that is the answer is 5. And it was mistakenly stated by the question maker. Okay, let's move on. What are the coordinates of the meeting point between the 2 straight lines? Okay, I have 1 line stated normally, the other line stated in a parametric way. Okay, where t is a real number, I need the point of meeting. So I just substitute. I have the value of x here, I will put that here. And also the value of y I can manage. It will be t minus 1 over 2, and we'll substitute that here. So x is negative t plus 2. That will give you the parameter value at the point of intersection. Okay. And the minus y here is t minus 1 over 2 plus 1 equal to 0. So you substitute the point, the general point from this parametric form into the normal form or standard form. And solve that to get t. I will multiply by 2, that negative 2t plus 4 minus t plus 1 plus 2 equals 0. That negative 3t equal negative 7. So t is 7 over 2. Okay. If c is 7 over 2, now you need to find x and y. Substitute this value, 7 over 2, back into the parametric equation. So negative 7 over 2 plus 2, negative 3.5 plus 2, it's a negative 3 over 2. Negative 3 over 2, no one of these. No one of these. Is that 2 or 3? It's a 3. So sorry for that. Again, sorry, it's already near 2 o'clock now. Again, here is 7/3. Substitute 7/3 back, so it will be 7/3 here plus 2. That will be like -7 plus 6. That's a -1/3. Okay, and also substitute that in the other equation, -7/3. Okay, it's 7/3 also, 7/3. 7/3 minus 1. I substitute here, and you need to divide that by 2. How much? So I multiply by 3 up and down to get 7 minus 3 up, which is 4, and 6 down is 2/3. So -1/3 and 2/3, so it should be 3. Okay. 35. That was like very tricky one. Okay, you know, if you have a chord in the circle, a chord, and you are drawing the midpoint and the perpendicular at that midpoint, it must go through the center. So think with me, if you like join this diagonal, it will consider as a chord, and this diagonal is perpendicular bisector, so it must go through the center, right? Perpendicular bisector for any chord is going through the center. If you drop also another perpendicular here, or that will be 45, 45, because that is also a square. So this 45, so this is 90, so this is 45, 45. So this is 90. Nice proof. And he's asking about what? He gave us the diameter equal to 10. The diameter of this circle is 10. So the radius is 5. What is the radius? And he needs only the area of the two identical squares. So I need the area of one square, and I will multiply that by 2. The diameter is 10, so this is the radius 5. Now I am going to work on this square. And this triangle, the yellow one, if you can see that, I can like make another color here. I think that will be clear now. Okay, working on this with Pythagoras will solve everything. Why? Because I already know the side of the square is x, not the side. Make this part of the square, this part is x, okay? Half the diameter. So this one is x also. So this triangle here, the triangle will have 2x on this side, x in this side, and 5 on this side. That's enough to find x. Use Pythagoras, it will be 4x squared plus x squared give you 25. That makes x squared equal 5. And x is root 5. Okay? I don't need x anyway. I need the diagonal. I know the area of the square should be either the side power 2 or the diagonal squared over 2. Okay? I know the diagonal is 2x. The diagonal is 2x. So it will be 2x all squared over 2. Or simply 2x squared. Okay? Because 4x squared over 2. This is the area of one square. The area of one square, 2x squared, and x squared already 5. So this is 10. So the area of two of the squares will be 10 and 10. So the area is 20. Okay, pretty hard one for like a minute thinking. Pretty hard for 1 minute. It needs more to get the idea or even to imagine what's happening around here. Okay, but this is level 2. Here, 36. One is the equation. This is a hyperbola. Sorry, an ellipse, sorry, because it's a plus. One of the equation of an ellipse system or signal system, blah, 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 for I and J. What is the equation of E, B in U or signal system 0 IJ, where O or the origin is -3 and 2. So he need to translate the x and y axis to the point -3 and 2. You're imagining what's happening, that we call transformation for the system. Okay, the system originally at O. This hyperbola have a center at 3 and -2. 3 is here, -2 is here. 3, -2 is here. Okay, now the origin will be translated to the point -3, -3 and 2 there. Okay. This one was originally 3 and -2. Okay. But the new origin becomes at -3 and 2. What that means? That means that we will have new set of axes here. I will call this is x dash, for example, y dash here. The original are only x and y. Okay, I know you are looking weird now. I imagine the look on your face. How can we read this new center now? We go all this way, that will be 6 units, and down all this way, that will be 4 units. So the new center in the new axis should read as 6 and the -4, right? And everything kept as it is, no stretching, no whatever, just translating that to this unit. So the answer should be number B, and that's it. Okay, so we have a set of axes. Now we move the set of axes to another point. Okay, so any point here has 2 reading, one according to this all original axis, and another reading according to the new axis. Okay. If you need a brief explanation for the axis that translated, or the axis that reflected, or the axis that inclined or rotated, or whatever transformation done to the axis themselves, and how that affects the equation, just ask in the comments, and I can do that in a big session or maybe series. But I can do that, but no time for now to explain everything. I hope you got that idea, because the last exam also was in May, if you remember, May, but level 1 have a question about the inclined axis, and here about the translated axis. So I think he loved to play with the axis. Okay, think if you need that and tell me in the comments. Okay, here. A box with the no top that has a volume of 1500. Okay, and I think you are familiar with this type of drawing, a cardboard that with 4 squares cut from each side or corner. Here I'd love to think about the base of the new shape. Here is the base. Can you see that base? Because the base, if you think in the base, you will reveal 2 of the dimensions. Okay. The base contains already the height and the width and the length, sorry, and the height is already x. So if the original width was 30, so this 30 minus 2x, and also the height was, or the length was 25, so this will be 25 minus 2x, because up x and down x. Okay, so the volume is x multiplied by 30 minus x is this height, and x minus 2x, and 25 minus 2x. This is multiplied to 1500. Okay. I need now to figure out how many possible boxes are there. So I need the values of x, and I know x cannot exceed 12.5. So I need to search x that between 0 and 12.5. Why we cannot reach 12.5? To make this side positive. It cannot be x equal 20. You can't cut 20 from each side. It's all the side is only 25. So maximum number of units is 12.5 that you can cut. Okay, we can write that on a calculator and find the solution. easily, and only count the solutions that in this range between 0 and 12.5. Okay, let's expand that to be able to write that in a calculator. Go x here, 30 times 25. It will be 75, 0. 30 times 2x, it will be negative 60x. And plus minus 50x again, and plus 4x squared. Okay. All that will be multiplied by x. So I have 4x power 4, power 3, sorry, and negative 110x squared, and 750x minus 1500. Okay. Now we will plug that on the calculator when it's in a cubic function or cubic equation mode. That's mode 5, 4, last choice. Just put these factors. So it will be one value that I cannot choose, 5 I can choose, 4 I can choose. There are two values now. So 2 solutions we can get this volume, 2 solutions. So the answer should be 2 boxes can be found using this volume. Okay, so the answer is B. It's 5 and 4 something. Wow, again, the same question that happens in May, also 21, level 1, but with different numbers. I need the type of the triangle or the nature of the triangle, that isosceles or whatever. So I will find the length AB and BC and AC using the formula. I said the formula before in a previous video. It will be x2 minus x1 all squared, and the y2 minus y1 all squared, and z2 minus z1 all squared. Okay, I will try that, but in a super fast way. I will try my best to do that quickly. So the change for AB, it will be 1 squared and 1 squared and 4. Okay, so it will be root 6. Second one, the change from B to C. I just look at the changes from 2 to 4. It's 2 squared, which is 4. It's 1 squared, which is 1. 1 squared, so it's root 6. That's great. What about the third one from A to C? The change from 3 to 4 is 1, and again 4, and again 1. So this time it is equilateral. All the sides are the same. Nice. Last time it was isosceles only. Which is the following angles is not coterminal with that. Again, the word coterminal for degrees, it means 50 plus or minus any multiple of 360. Any multiple, either positive or negative. So if you add 50 plus 360, you will get 310. If 410, and if you have 360 more, that you can get this one. I don't think this one is correct. If you subtract, you can get this one and this one by subtracting 360 twice. 230 cannot be obtained by this method, so it is not coterminal to the 50 measure. I need the value of x. I can use Pythagoras easily. 2 sine squared x or sine theta all squared, that's the 4, by the way, plus 2 cosine, sorry, theta all squared. That should give you x squared. Obviously, that is 4 sine squared theta and 4 cosine squared theta. That will be x squared, and you can factor out 4 to get sine squared theta here plus cosine squared theta, and the pretty famous expression. So x squared is only 4 and x is only 2. This is one way to solve that. You can also find the sine for this angle. So sine theta, obviously it's 2 sine theta, the opposite, over x. When you cancel sine with sine, you can find x equal to directly, much faster. Also, you can work with that with cosine if you wish. In the parallelogram above, what is the distance between the side AD up and BC down? So I need this measure or this length. I know this is perpendicular, this is 120, so this is 120, so this is 30, 60 triangle here. 4, 2, so that will be 2 root 3. Easy. 30 triangle, not drawn to scale, of course, but it is parallelogram anyway. Again, the solution of the equation, blah, blah, blah. I cannot work with the sine and cosine at the same time. So I will convert this cosine to 1 minus sine squared first. It's an x this time. Excuse me when I convert from x to theta, that happens a lot. And the 2 sine x plus 2 equal to 0. Make that a nice zero equation and multiply by negative to be able to factorize that as a quadratic. I multiply by negative, so instead of having 3, it will be negative 3 here. And that is easily factorizable to sine x, and the 3 and the 1, the bigger is positive, the smaller is negative. So sine x equal negative 3. So it cannot be solved in real numbers. Can that be solved in complex? Yes. I have a video about that, by the way, in the channel. Check that. And sine x minus 1 is a 0. That happened. Sine x equal 1. Yes. Remember the curve of sine? Yeah. It reached 1 only at pi over 2. And again, the next period. And again in the next period. So it happened at pi over 2. And adding 2 by n to that. Pi over 2 plus 2 by n is this one. And only this one, b, 42. Sine squared plus cosine squared come up to mind when you see this type of problems. So to reach this sine squared and cosine squared, I will square both sides here first. And obviously, I will get this easily after that. If I square both sides, I will get sine squared x, not theta, plus 2 sine x cosine x plus cosine squared x equal square 25 over 36. Both these parts equal 1. This equal 1. So move 1 to the other side. So I'll have 2 sine x cosine x equal 25 over 36 minus 1. This one is like 36 over 36. So it will be negative 11 over 36 when you do that. Now all you need is just to divide by 2. So sine x cosine x will be negative 11 over 36 times 2, which is 72 down here. So that's A. Which is the following value of tan theta? Tan theta between in the 8th quad, very far. Okay. If tan theta in that. So in the 3rd quad, so I think only in negative value. So it could be any negative here. Okay, this is 10. 10 can reach values less than -1, and like any value it can be reached. But sine and cosine only that are limited from -1 to 1. So first of all, I know that 7 pi over 4 here, like 7 times 180 over 4. Let's make that easier to think. It is 315. So I need a value here that give a tan inverse that more than 315. 315 in the 4th quad, you need to subtract 360 to find the coterminal here. It will be -45. So I need an angle that between 0 or -45 and 0. Try to find, I know -1 will give me -45. I will find the other two tans. So shift tan, the other value here, -10 over 9. Is that less than 45? No, it's much farther, like more than 45. Okay, so I believe it's -9 over 10. Shift tan, -9 again. Shift tan. Yes, -9 over 10. That gives you an angle that is -41. So definitely its measure is more than 7 pi over 4, or its coterminal is more than 7 pi over 4. Okay, like you need angle not in the in G squared only, it's also in this octant, if you can say that. Okay, so I need the measure to be more than this is -45. I need the measure to be here. So the measure that it was -42.3, I think. So it is in this part. So I accept it. Wow. Okay. Too much. What is the scale of measurement used in the study? The scale measurement used in the study. Okay. Mrs. Anne rated the 20 children in her preschool class on readiness for kindergarten by rating them on a 5-point scale, 1 for least ready, 5 for most ready. Okay, so it tests them about reading and set a scale of 5 points, either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, what do you think this type of scaling? It's called ordinal. Why? It's data that cannot be added. Like you cannot add 2 students with the scale 2 to make them scale 4, for example. So it's considered not numbers. Okay, it's qualitative data and can be put in order. Qualitative data has 2 types: nominal, that cannot be put in order, like colors, and ordinal, that can be put in order. Okay, if you need to remember that, the data mainly divided into qualitative, and quantitative. Okay, quantitative, mostly numbers or values that we can put in order, that can be divided into discrete. When like the SEST scores, it's like 800, 810, 820. It's not joined. You can't find a score of 125.3. It cannot be there. Okay, so it's discrete and continuous. Continuous, like height and weight and all values that is continuous. You can find the height or the temperature at any number you want. The qualitative, the numbers that are not numbers. It could be numbers like telephone numbers, for example, like car numbers, like number plates, but numbers that you cannot put that in arithmetic formula. Like you are not allowed to add them for any reason or subtract them. Maximum thing you can do is counting them. Okay, this type of data can be put in order or not. If they are numerical data, you can put that in order. If there are some other data, like the size for t-shirt, for example, large, X large, and so on, that's qualitative, but that can put in order, ordinal. Okay. If you can't put that in order, like your nationality, your color, your race, your blood type, or this data called nominal. Okay. You cannot put them in order. Our type is ordinal. Okay. It's number, yes, but you cannot subtract them or add them. You just can order them or count them, but you can't do any arithmetic operation on them. Intervals, if they are like, you know, when you play boxing, for example, if you wait from blah, blah, blah to blah, 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 you play in heavyweight, medium heavy, medium weight, lightweight. Okay, this is intervals of weight. It's not this type of study. The ratio also make you part of what? Okay, fraction of what? Like if you are a team, think about football players in Europe. What ratio of them is Egyptian players? What ratio is Singalian or from Singal or from Saudi Arabia, whatever? This is ratios, a part, a quotient, or a percentage. And that, again, is not the measure in this case. Okay? I hope that's enough for this question, because I almost explained the type of data in that. 46. If the mean of a distribution is 50 and the standard deviation is 5, average and standard deviation, what do the mean, variance, and standard deviation become after each is of scores is divided by 2, and then 20 is subtracted from each. If you divide by 2, the data divided by 2, everything will be divided by 2. Okay, so the mean will become 50, and the standard deviation will become 2.5. Okay, the variance is the square root of the standard deviation, so it will be 2.5 squared. So that will make both mean, variance, standard deviation becomes divided by 2. Okay, so that will be 25. This will be 2.5. This will be the square of that 2.5 squared, which is 6125. This is not on the only action, because he then subtract 20. Okay, when you subtract 20, only subtract 20 from the mean. Variance and standard deviation does not affected by adding or subtracting, because the differences between the data will stay the same if you add 20 or subtract 20 from all the data. So this will be 5, and this will stay the same. Okay, so I believe the answer should be A. 5 and the square and 2.5. So addition affect only the center, and division multiplication affect the center and the differentiations or deviation. That means the variance and standard deviation and range that affected by only the divided and times. Suppose that the mean IQ in the population is 100. What, with a standard deviation of 16, what percentile rank are you if your IQ is 100? So I'm in the middle, 100, and the mean is 100. The mean is with percentile of 50, or in half of the data. So the answer should be C. This is 50, okay? Like if you divide the whole data into slices with 1% each, the mean will be in the middle of the slices, the slice number 50. I need to simplify that, so I decide which is bigger first. The bigger is the expression down here. Okay, I will leave that and try to like break down this part down. So we will start with the number and then remove 1, and then remove 1, and so on. But I'm not going to continue after that. I will put factorial to make me able to cancel this. So I will be left with no factorial notation, only with these 2 brackets down. I don't need to multiply them. It's pretty clear. It is C. Okay, 2 more questions to go. We interview 100 persons on the use of 2 kinds of soap, A and B. We find that 45 use A, 30 use B, and 15 use A and B both. So I will need to sketch like a Venn diagram for this one. Okay, because he said 15 use both. So A and B, I start with 15 here. B is 30, so another 15 here to have the Venn diagram of B contains 30 persons. And A is 45, so I still need 30 to get 45 here. Now I have about 60 inside these 2. So the other 40 should be outside that doesn't use any. He's asking for the partial that doesn't use any, so it will be B, 40% of the data. Okay. So I need the sum of all numbers to reach 100, the number of persons that I started with. Here, number 50 at last. By increasing the speed of the car by 10 kilometers, increasing the speed by 10. Okay, for a distance of 72 kilometers is reduced by 36. The time is reduced by 36. So this is in minutes, be careful. So I will write that over 60 to be in hours. What is the original speed? So let's the original speed. I know that triangle, you know that triangle pretty much. Speed is distance over time. So distance is 72. That didn't change. It happens in two scenarios. S times t, the first speed was x, the time was t. I'm not sure about that, but I know that if the x increased by 10, the time is reduced by 36/60. This is my equation. Okay, this is two equation indeed. To solve that, to get the speed of the color, I need x, so I can from here find t in terms of x. From here, t is equal to 72 per x. Now substitute here. So x plus 10 times 72 over x minus 36/60. That should equal 72 as well. Doing shift solve on that will solve the problem. Okay. A little tricky one because he no fixed given other than the 72. Anyway, x plus 1 plus 10, sorry, multiplied by 72 over x minus 36/60. That will equal 72. Okay, so you have to solve that. I will need values that near here. 30 is nice. That's it. So you don't need to seek another value. It's just 30. Of course, it's a quadratic. You might find another negative value, but I don't need it. Okay, everybody, this is a nice test. I enjoyed it. It has a couple of mistakes, but generally it's a pretty nice test. I hope you enjoy that. Don't forget to, like and subscribe, and see you in the next video. Enjoy your time. ربنا يوفقكم جميعا وإلى أن نلتقي. السلام عليكم.